There's a quorum with Ms. Martinez, Mr. Brewitt, Mr. Mosque, myself, Mr. Lambert, Mr. Eichrach. We also have with us our attorney, Silvia Rodriguez, our director, Ben Reed, guest, Wilson County News. Roy, would you lead us in location, please?
Yes, sir. Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we gather here today to resolve issues and discuss the things that are good for our citizens and to the city of Floresville. We ask for your guidance and to guide us in a way that we make the right decision. In the name of the Holy Spirit, your Son, and your God. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And to the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Any citizens' comments? Anybody want to say anything that's not part of the agenda? If not, let's go on to old business. Consideration and action to approve the minutes from June the 8th.
So, Charlotte has come back to work, but she is out currently on some bereavement time for a little bit this week, so she hasn't been able to get caught up with the June 8th, so I'd like to see if we can just table the June 8th minutes for now, but I have July 20th minutes in there. So she'll get that done when she gets back on Thursday.
If there's no corrections, can we have a motion to approve as presented?
We got to table these.
Oh, I'm sorry, let's, on action 1-8, motion to table June 8th, our assistant's not here.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Lambert,
Second.
second by Mr. Mosque. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 1B, the July 20th meeting, which is part of your packet. If there are no changes or any corrections, can we have a motion to approve as presented?
With documents as presented.
Mr. Bosque, your second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Brewitt. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 2A, financial overview of July 2020.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Do we see a big change yet from this year compared to last year? Roy?
Yes, sir. We, for the month of July, we have an increase of almost 11% compared to the same month last year. And for the entire year, we have an increase of $36,000, about 4.5%, almost 5% from the previous year. So we're on track to make the budget and probably a little bit over, even with all these conditions of difficulty we've been having. So the sales tax keep on increasing from the previous year.
So last year at this time, we were at 72.5,
Yes, sir?
and this year at 80,
80?
700.
37. That makes it an increase of about 11%, 11.35.
So if you look on the page on the bottom, we're up $8,230 for the month.
Right.
And for the year, at 4.94%, we're up $36,090.
What do you attribute that to? Is it an overall increase, or is it retail?
I think it was part of what we planned last year. We were estimating a conservative increase of 5%. We were on track to do about an 8 to 9% increase. I don't think we're going to meet the 8 to 9% that we were projected because of the COVID, but I think overall sales from either A, people shopping local because they don't want to drive into different hotspots with COVID, or B, more online sales. And I think if you see like some of our exact tax summary, people are shopping a lot at H-E-B and Walmart compared to where they are in the past. And then you'll see a lot of the decrease in some of the restaurants, but then you'll see some restaurants like Sonic has like a 30% increase in sales. So it's just unique on what the restaurants and how they were set up. So I think you'll see a continued increase throughout the end of the year with the closure of Bell's. But as they phase out that and bring in a new person for that tenant, I don't think you'll see a lapse in that. We're working on that right now.
So for sales tax purposes, business is good in Floresville.
Yes, we are very strong. Like, I think last year, you look in there, we had only 3 months over 80, and currently this year we got 1, 2, 3, 4 already. And we still have 2 months to go, and we're leaning the last 2 months to having really strong months. And then with the other businesses that will be coming in, I think it's going to just continue to get stronger and stronger.
Any questions for Mr. Hydrock or Ben? If not, let's go on to item 2B, and let the minutes reflect that our city manager joined us in the meeting. Mrs. Turner, could you talk to us about the IRS refund?
Yes, I can. Actually, I have a report to it. All right, so we just recently, our auditors were here, and they just recently left, so hopefully we'll have some up numbers. I think they're projected to be here by the 18th. But in going through some of Helen Martinez's documents and records as we were transitioning to our new finance person, we actually had received a letter dated, please be in front of you right here. It's dated in March. It was sent to us in March, and it was filed nicely, but no action was taken. And so what it is that you let me allow to read this for the
Please.
record? Okay. It says, thank you for your Form 941 for the tax period shown above, which would have been the tax period we needed for December 31 of 2018. We received your unsigned, they said it was unsigned, undated Form 941 for tax period ended December 31, 2018 on June 27, 2019. But we need more information. To correct the information previously reported, you should file the enclosed 941X form. If you are correcting more than one tax period, please file a separate form in each tax period. We won't be able to allow any other corrections claimed if we don't hear from you. So we contacted them, let them know that during the pandemic, you know, in and out, so we have it. We have completed we resent them the 941C that we sent originally, and then we turn around and we sent them the new tax form that they asked for, the one with the X, the 941X that we submitted for them. The auditors looked at it and said yes. And this is the reason why we had told them that they give us a detailed explanation of how you determine your correction. Originally, the employee was paid wages with tax deducted as per his termination agreement. However, he objected and went to the Board of Economic Development of the city, and instead of being paid the full amount, no taxes withheld. The board attorney instructed that to be paid the back taxes in amounts plus the $2,826. That was a short on the check and the accounts payable. So in correcting that, this employee did not get all his withholding tax and AP. So we're making that correction. the attorney, the new attorney, that was the old one. The new attorney helped us to file a corrected form and has informed Mr. Baker and that we did file an amended W-2 form. So what we need to get back from the IRS is about $10,139.34. So we followed up with them, we sent it registered mail, email, and certified mail. So we sent the same form through it, and then auditors did have a chance to look at it to make sure it was all done. So now it's back in the IRS's attention, and so we should be able to hear something from them moving forward. When we did reach out to them, most of their IRS people were working from home. That's why we sent it in all three, because send it to the office, they said that they already checked the mail, and so it could be even more of a delay. So we emailed it to them as well. So hopefully we'll see that.
Okay, so bottom line, we'll get a refund for 10,000
Yes.
plus.
Yes. They didn't kick it out and say no, because if they would deny it, they would have denied it. They said they wanted an additional form that we could fill out. We filled it out and sent it back to them. And the auditor has seen and reviewed it as well. And we share the same auditor. So I'm happy to report that there is a forward motion. We did have it because we did look to see if they just gave us the credit and didn't point it out in that period, but no. They said it would be a separate check that they would send to us. So we're excited about that.
Okay.
I got the letter for the file.
Any
And
other
the
questions for Mrs. Stern?
I would just request that if you could continue to put this on your agenda, so I can update you, not that there's an update or no update. If they received it, then I would be more than happy to come to your meeting report.
Okay. If there's no questions or comments for Mrs. Stern, let's move on to item 3. Consideration and action to authorize the EDC director, Gregory, to advertise for a financial advisor for the Floresville EDC.
Yeah, so
Agreed?
where this came from is we've been working with a lot of different, from the auditor last year, and when COVID got us sidetracked, they asked us to, since with the funds we have, the amount we have in our account, to make sure that we invest those funds appropriately, because last year I think we only made like $600 in the account we had it in. So in order to do that, we have to put out there for a financial advisor. It's different than like your city financial advisor. It's more of an independent one. There's some that the city use, so we'll put it out there to everyone. Have them be allowed to pick one. And then for that financial advisor, we'll just look at our finances, where we're at, and where we're going to go in the future. As me and Ms. Turner have talked to different developers moving forward with different projects. For example, the FISD project that we're purchasing, and maybe getting some sewer out there with different grant money and things like that. They'd be able to advise us how we go about doing that, whether that be through loans or using our own money, and they would just advise us on the best practices to move forward in that. So one of the things I told a couple of these developers and is that we would show that we're moving forward on how to expand some of those projects and make the auditors happy that we are working towards investing our money to where it's not just sitting there stagnant. So that's where I asked to put this on the agenda, and then we could go out to try to find us a financial advisor for the EDC on what to do with our funds moving forward.
But are we looking for an investor or an advisor?
An advisor right now.
But Mr. Chairman, Mayor?
Please.
One of the things that happened is that your auditor is saying that you all are cash. I think cash, you're not cash. And that if you're going to make any investments in the stock market itself, you have to have a financial advisor to make sure you're investing in things that are appropriate. And you have to have a policy in order to do so. And the city of Floresville has one that does an investment policy. We have a policy because Texas law requires you not to invest in some things. And I know there have been some controversy, sometimes teachers or students or other people who have invested in some things that may not have been appropriate for you. You know, that's something, or more risk of what your taste is and flavor. And I'm probably sure Roy can talk to that better than I am. You want to be more of a risk taker or not. That's what you need for a financial advisor to do that. But that person can also have the role is to say, should you bond this, should you not bond it? What do you think? And you want to put it in long-term CDs or whatever. But you need somebody to be able to invest. And once you have one, then you can decide if you want to have what kind of policy you want to have going forward. So Victor Pioga is our financial advisor for the city. And then we have a different lady, her name is Linda Patterson, that does the investments. So it depends on what you want. If you want the investment part, because she's certified in that, for if you want to invest your money short-term or long-term, that would be a Linda Patterson type of role. I'm not saying you have to hire her, oh, please,
Right.
I'm not saying, but that would be her role. Or if you want somebody to talk about working with your bond counsel, so that's your investment advisor, like
Yeah.
the city is the Videographer that we have. That he's been with the city historically and helped us decide what we want to do going forward. But I think in this case, what Ben is speaking to is that you have that money sitting in the bank, and unlike years before, you're not really making any money at all. No serious money. You know, you have $3 million in the bank and you make $600. That's not necessarily what you should be doing. So you can decide how much you want to invest, where you want to invest it, short-term, long-term, and that person could advise you on how to do so.
When you started putting a plan together to advertise for an advisor, is that something that you budgeted for? Because there's going to be expenses associated with it. Something that is
Yeah,
in this
professional
coming,
service account.
so it's already in this coming year's budget for that.
And it would be, Madam Attorney, would it be a request for professional proposals? Is that what you'd be asking for? Yes. RFP?
And what is the goal other than not being level at $600? What is the goal?
The goal is to make sure that we have our money, like they say, we got more money than we need in the bank and just sitting there. But the ultimate goal is, like, say we have to come up with a master plan for future investment for other projects. They would lead us in the right direction on what type of ways to pay for that. Do we pay cash out of pocket? Do we come to the city and say we want to go out for different bonds or loans to get things paid for? So they would lead us in that direction to see what we need to do.
So your goal is to, at one point in time when Texas changed the law on investments, what most people did was just took their eggs and put them in one basket and just say, I'll just keep them in the bank, that's the safe way. But the state of Texas said that's safe, but it's not smart.
Yeah.
You have $3 million sitting in the bank. It's not a high interest, so that's one thing of the investment.
It's two.
So the other one would be working with the bond council and what kind of investment long-term that you.
Like, I can move the money around, but I shouldn't have moved it around. Like, right now, we have a low interest checking account that a previous leadership had done, and directors. So what I want to do is make sure when we move it into, like, say, just a high interest money market account, I just can't go in and do that. I have to have someone advise me on just.
Right, that makes complete sense. If it's something where the principal is guaranteed, that's a no-brainer, right? But when you get to talking about investments, that you just like you can go up and go down. So
Yeah, what you do is, like, that advisor will say, okay, so you have this project plan, and we know you want to spend X, and you want to spend Y. Well, they'll say, okay, well, say example, we got about $2 million in the bank. It's okay, well, what can we do with this $500,000 when we know we're not going to spend it? How can we invest it in, like, some serious whatever bonds for public use that can do that, and are they short-term, long-term, and they would give us that recommendation, bring it back to us, and then we would make a group decision on what we want to do with those funds to better strengthen our EDC moving forward.
And it also will tell you that you can invest in things that necessarily represent this forward, because you don't want to necessarily put it in something and you buy your stocks in something that is definitely what you would consider immoral, that's not something that you want. So you may want, the teachers unions at one time were investing in some things and they didn't realize that they were actually promoting some brothels and some other kind of establishments that they didn't necessarily want to be associated with, but that's what they do. So you can set a policy, and they can help you set a policy, say, these are the type of things that we want to invest in, this needs to, matches our goals and objectives, but also your risk factor and how risky do you want to be. Maybe not as risky as Roy, but not as safe as me, since I don't invest.
and we're limited, I'm assuming we're limited as to, as you mentioned, the type of investments.
The type of investment, but that's basically based on your policy. You would need to have a policy.
Do we have a policy for investment on the EDC?
We don't.
Do not, and your financial advisor would help you
That's what
develop
that financial advisor
policy.
gives us a policy, and so we can move forward on.
I don't disagree we need a financial advisor, but I think we need to think long and hard about a real long-term investment, because the growth of the city has depended a whole lot on the liquidity of FEDC.
Yeah.
And if we can't touch the money, even though we've got $3 million in the bank, who knows if you're gonna have an opportunity next month, next week, 2 weeks from now, or a month from now, for a grant that you need some matching funds on, if we're tied up for 5 years, we can't help you.
And that's what the financial advisor will let us know that.
Things in the short term, that you could say 3 months, 6 months.
Yeah, it sounds like we're talking about two different things. We're talking about a financial advisor, and I think we're also talking about a financial investor, which are two different professions.
Yes. So the investor part of it would be say that you need to, but even if you just say $300,000 we're gonna set aside, and then we'll keep the other $2 million, we need to have some type of thing to make a way for you to increase. It's kind of like what they say, for you to invest your money, not to let it sit in the bank. But the liquidity is a wonderful thing, and don't think I don't love it myself personally when I'm working on city projects. But you need to be able to have, so even if you say, we're just gonna do $100,000, it proves to the state that you're doing something to make money.
And it doesn't have to be a big amount. We're not gonna go put $1 million invested, like she said, like Ms. Turner.
As long as it's something you can get out of without having to pay a high rate or some kind of rollback or whatnot, or prepayment penalty, if you can just get loose, it's a good idea.
And that's just one of the things we got dinged on in the audit last year, that towards the end of this year, before we get to October, I need to be able to tell the auditors, hey, here, we're making the plans, we're getting an advisor, we're starting to find a way to invest some of that money that's just sitting there.
I think that's going in the right direction. Is to make $600 off of that amount of money is almost.
It's a disservice.
Right.
And then with the investor, with the financial advisor, will come along where we could use the financial investment moving forward when we want to go into something else.
Your advisor can also facilitate the investments.
Yeah.
They just have to be registered representatives.
And that's what I want to, the CNA, I want to ask the board. I know we put it on, I think, do we have to go out for advertising for that, Sylvia, when you do that?
On which one?
For it, I didn't know if we need to go out for advertising, or if you wanted to, if the board wanted to make the recommendation to use something the city's already using, that would be up to, like, what is the protocol on that? To go out for advertising for it?
Let me look that up then. For a financial advisor, period,
Yeah.
for professional services? Let me look it up.
I think you're looking
Should
for
have it.
something that you can put money on, that it does better than the return that what you're getting from the bank right now. And it shows 30 days, 90 days, 6 months. Not something that go into 5 years, but the return, it will increase better than what you get on the bank. I cannot understand why the bank just paid a quarter of 1%.
And that's what the audit
Takes
said last year,
4 years
talking
to
to me
make
about this year, is that we hadn't done anything in that regard.
Yes, and I am applying for, I'm not trying to get off the subject, but as the city of Floresville was going forward with the USDA, the last time I talked to the USDA, when we were about to do our $2.5 million, the interest rate was a little under 1.8% and falling. And so I'm like, what? They're saying, you want to do more money? I'm like, no, 2.5 is enough. But if you have the other type of investor, like the Videographer, that can talk about your advisor, that you may want to look at, refinancing some of your bonds or something when you opt to do so, because the interest rates are going down.
Yeah.
And so that's what you would need to have, that relationship with those two different entities. But that, like you said, Mr. Chairman, the two different advisors, that one advisor can tell you your bonds are good, or they can tell you it's time that we can take advantage of a lower interest rate. And that Victor Kroger's always telling the city there's a tipping factor for him that is worth it, because as you know, anytime you deal with refinancing, everybody makes some money, it's a processing fee or whatever, but it's worth the time to turn it over. And the city has actually done that on one bond since I've been here, to refinance it at a lower interest rate.
So that's all I'm asking for, is just to move forward, to either, I guess, advertise or use the same one the city is on getting the FEDC a financial advisor.
Emma, I'm gonna have to get back on that with you. I know that for attorneys, you don't have to, but I don't know if the other one falls into that, I'm sorry. I'm looking for it though.
Could there be a
I'll find
benefit
it.
of using the same one, sometimes depending on the level of investments that you have, is the break that you get on the expenses? So I don't know if.
Well, Victor Kroger is our financial advisor that does the bonds. He's been a part of that, and he's familiar with your bonds, and does a schedule for yours is the one, I think you have two or three, babe, which one you need, two?
Yeah.
You have two. One
Yeah,
with
we
the
have
city,
two.
one and then one you
One we
want to do.
split and one by ourselves.
Yes, and so he's familiar with those and track those and does the reports for that. Linda Patterson that does our investment, the city of Floresville doesn't do very many investments. We have a capital plan that we put money away, it's like a 90 days, and we can get it in 90 days if I have to. So we have that option, but she doesn't work a lot. I picked her, and we didn't go out, it wasn't required for the city to go out to request a proposal. I picked her because every 2 years, the city manager and the city finance director has to go do a mandatory thing for the state of Texas, and it's cruciating for me for 2 days to talk finances. So they'd sit there and do that, and you have to be certified. She teaches the class, so I figured if she can teach the class for Texas, that's what I need to make sure that I'm in compliance. And she's helped us write an investment policy and those kind of things. So I'm in compliance. I have much money, but I'm in compliance as to reference to do that. And so her name's Linda Patterson. She does that for the state.
But what is her title, Mrs. Furman?
She is our investment advisor. And then Victor Crioga is our financial advisor, investment financial. But the city did not have to go up for request for proposals.
I mean,
She
we have
also-
until October, if you want, we could table it to the next meeting.
And
for
then
clarification.
Linda Patterson also helped us when we were looking at our banking, because she does investing, and so she actually helped us write the RFQ, request for qualifications for our banking as we went out to, so she just helped us on some other things, but like I said, she's state certified for sure.
Well, I don't think we want to wait too long, because if interest rates are
Yeah.
dropping, and maybe we want to take advantage of some opportunities that come up because of the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have two members that are very familiar with bonds and whatnot, investments.
And y'all can
Do
read
they
that in
help
the
us
post.
really look at that for sure? To find somebody.
So,
If we
Well,
get
you
it
determine-
cheaper on interest,
well,
we
if
don't
I
have
could,
negative interest.
I'll take all you can get.
yes.
So can we,
It's gonna be backwards.
Since your attorney decides if you have to do a request for proposal publicly,
That would be good.
you could decide how you want to follow through.
So if we're going to go forward with hiring a financial advisor, that'll be contingent upon if we have to go
I
on
think,
for.
I think you might have to.
okay.
I'm looking on here under
If we're
professional
doing best
services,
practices,
under
we
the
can put it out
government
there.
code. Yeah, it does indicate that if you are gonna request for,
Now, can we add in investment advisor also, or we have to do that at a separate time?
well, this one says to advertise for a financial
Yeah.
advisor for the Floresville Economic.
Okay.
Are you gonna want a dual? Or you're gonna want one of each?
I would say both, one of each.
We don't have it in this,
We'll put it on the next meeting.
on this
okay.
one.
You gotta remember, if you've got one of each, you got double the
Double
expense.
commissions.
So,
Mhm.
Gotta be
We
able to
gotta
find
go
one
separate
person
for
can
each
do
of them
both.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you don't get charged until you use them to like refinance your stuff.
That's a financial advisor. He
Yeah.
gets paid with the bond.
Yeah.
When you do a bond, and he gets,
That's how they get paid.
Okay, then our motion should be to authorize if needed? for-
yes,
Okay. If required by.
by the government code. And it does appear you do.
Okay.
Okay. Any motion?
I make a motion to authorize, if needed, as required by the government code.
Thank you.
Motion by Ms. Martinez, second by Mr. Drak. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to talk about the budget bid.
Yes, so, for those that came, I think that Dave was the only one that wasn't able to come the other day. We sat there and had a joint workshop with the 4A and the city council. And just want to give you all this, what I turned in, and just, if you had any more questions regarding, making that a final number and just getting it approved for, our fiscal year budget for 2020, 2021. As we previously discussed, what we'll be doing is adding in the extra $50,000 into the new business development to make sure we cover our agreements that we have set forth with the city, and then to just make sure we stay under, if you look back on our financial, last year we brought in 900,000. So I want to make sure we stayed under that, and if we have the increase of 5%, we're going to bring in close to 950,000. Put it at 899, at 398 for next year's budget. And that'll be just a one-time because we've already made that commitment for that $100,000, and that way that is budgeted in the new business development instead of taking it out separately from a withdrawal from the bank.
Any questions on the budget? If not, a motion to approve fiscal year budget 2020, 2021.
Make a motion to approve as such.
I said, second.
Motion by Mr. Edrock, second by Mr. Lambert. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we approved our budget. Let's go into number 4, executive session in accordance with Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D.
Good enough.
Is that good enough?
That's good enough.
6:33.
Regarding discussion regarding appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of the EDC Executive Director Benjamin T. Reed. Mr. Ernst, will you excuse us just for a few minutes? I ask that, we have a motion.
Yes, we need a motion to go
Motion.
into
So moved.
executive session.
Mr. Lambert, second. Second by Mr. Wolsko. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We can